Hey everyone, welcome into the latest TDR Weekly Recap presented by Dutchie. I am your host, Shad Dales. This week in cannabis, the spotlight was firmly on President Donald Trump and the swirling rumors about a possible rescheduling announcement. But that was far from the only big story. We've also got major news out of Florida where Smart and Safe picked up a big legal win, Bill Maher with a blunt warning for Democrats, former NFL star Ricky Williams making cannabis reform personal, and Google finally opening its doors to cannabis advertising, and fresh developments from Missouri, Colombia, and across the business world. So from Tilray to Trulieve to Agrify, a lot going on. It was a packed week. So let's get in because this is the TDR Weekly Recap, biggest developments in cannabis presented by Dutchie. All right, let's first begin. All eyes were on President Trump this week. Rumors flew that a rescheduling announcement could be imminent and political players are lining up. Roger Stone even penned an op-ed urging Trump to reschedule cannabis as a step toward full descheduling. Bill Maher chimed in as well, warning Democrats that Trump could steal the cannabis issue right out from under them. Maher's point was simple. While Democrats talk about frameworks, Trump talks about freedom, money, and now possibly cannabis. And then you have Ricky Williams, the former NFL star, making the case from a personal perspective. Williams says cannabis changed his life after football and that rescheduling isn't about politics, it's about patients, veterans, and families. He argues Schedule 1 is outdated and that rescheduling would weaken cartels, boost research, and bring fairness to legitimate businesses. And I have to agree, I agree with you, Ricky. So the political chessboard is heating up and cannabis seems to be right in the middle of it, and that is a good thing. Let's now move south down in Florida where Smart and Safe scored a win in court. A federal judge struck down part of a law signed by Governor Ron DeSantis that restricted who could collect signatures for ballot initiatives. The judge ruled it was an unconstitutional burden on freedom expression. So this clears the way for Smart and Safer to keep pushing its 2026 adult use cannabis ballot measure. They've already collected more than 660,000 verified signatures, about 3/4 of what they need. But the road ahead, as we know, it won't be easy. DeSantis still says legalization doesn't belong in Florida's constitution, and polls are mixed, some showing strong support while others showing numbers below the state's 60% requirement. So in short, Smart and Safe is still in the game, but Florida remains one of the toughest battlegrounds for cannabis reform, and oh, do we know that. Let's now move online, and here's a move that could reshape cannabis marketing. Google is finally testing cannabis ads. As of August 25th, Google launched a 20-week pilot program in Canada where cannabis is federally legal, allowing licensed businesses to buy ads on Google search. So that means when you search for something like Best Sativa in Toronto, you could see ads from actual licensed cannabis companies, not just blogs gaming SEO. It's limited for now, search only, and only federally licensed operators, but it's a major signal that times are changing. For cannabis companies getting access to Google's ads platform, it could be a game changer. It's been highly restricted in Canada since its inception of going federally legalized back in 2018. It's now moved to Missouri where cannabis is already legal, but the fight isn't over. A new campaign collected by Missourians for a single market is preparing a 2026 ballot initiative to unify hemp and marijuana under one regulatory system. Their pitch is simple: treat cannabis like alcohol. That means unlimited licenses and the ability for adults to grow and sell their own cannabis, and a system that gives hemp operators more room to compete. Critics say this could destabilize the dispensary system voters approved just 3 years ago. Supporters argue that the current model is too restrictive, driving up prices and limiting access. So it's shaping up as a battle not over whether cannabis could be legal and how the system should work and really who gets to benefit. Let's now move internationally, and all eyes are on Colombia. Lawmakers there just passed the first of 8 votes required to legalize cannabis through a constitutional amendment. President Gustavo Petro is backing the move, saying it's time to undercut cartels and replace violence with regulation and tax revenue. So it looks like more common sense is spreading across the world when it comes to cannabis. The bill would legalize possession, commercial sales, and personal cultivation while banning advertising and public consumption. It's still early, but if Colombia makes it through this 2-year process, it could shift from one of prohibition's biggest victims to one of legalization's leaders. Let's now move on the business front, and plenty of headlines this week. First up is Agrify, that trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol AGFY. They're rebranding as Rhythm after acquiring a slate of lifestyle brands from Green Thumb, including Rhythm, Dogwalkers, and Bebo. It's a $50 million pivot designed to lean into brand licensing and hemp-derived products. Next is Tilray, and it's back in compliance with the Nasdaq's minimum bid price rule, avoiding delisting and keeping access to institutional investors intact. So a good week for Tilray. Next up is Trulieve. They announced major leadership moves, adding veteran CFO talent with decades of experience in large-scale finance. Also making news was Grow Generation. They signed a distribution deal with Arete Sales to push its brand into thousands of new garden centers, nurseries, and hardware stores nationwide. Up in Canada, MTL Cannabis trades on the CSE under the ticker symbol MTLC. They reported steady revenue but thinner margins as it invests heavily in cultivation upgrades, processing hubs, and energy-efficient infrastructure. Also up in Canada was Next Leaf Solutions. They logged its fourth straight profitable quarter, leaning into wellness products like oils and soft gels while holding margins at nearly 30%. Job well done. And Fluent Corp saw its interim CEO put his own money into the company through a private placement, literally betting on his own turnaround plan. So, if you're going to walk the walk, got to talk the talk. So to wrap up this week's recap, the Trump rescheduling rumors, they continue to swirl. Florida's legalization push is alive after a big court win. Google cracks the door open to cannabis advertising. Missouri and Colombia push forward with their bold reform efforts. And in the business world, brands like Tilray, Trulieve, and Agrify are making moves that could reshape the industry. It was a big week as well for many stocks, including the ETF MSOS, as it continues its surge over the last couple of weeks. Why? Well, as we know, these big rescheduling rumors. When will it happen? No idea. But we're seeing progress, and we look at how this has performed as far as an industry over the last 6 to 7 weeks. Let's keep things into perspective. It's been great. So that's a wrap for our latest TDR Traded Black weekly recap for the biggest developments in cannabis presented by Dutchie. As usual, if you like this breakdown, make sure to give it a like, share it with your network, and make sure to smash on that bell for all notifications and leave some comments below. What do you think of this week? Were you watching it closely? I think we all were, as rescheduling rumors were white hot, but no announcements as we sit here patiently and wait. Let us know on what you think of the industry and where it's headed. We'd love to get your feedback. One last thing, make sure to scan this QR code and become a daily baked-in newsletter subscriber delivered to your inbox weekdays, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, giving you all the latest information on the business and reform side of the cannabis industry. And right now, it's never been more popular. In the meantime, everyone, like I always say, stay open-minded, stay connected, and I'll see you next time at our latest TDR Trade to Black podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for watching.